Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome WayneBreezie. What's good, bro?
What's going on, family? How you been, man?
Doing great, man. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media platform, bro.
Oh, it's super simple, man. It's just Wayne Breezy. You can find me on YouTube, Wayne Breezy, Twitter, Wayne Breezy, Facebook, Wayne Breezy, Insta, Wayne Breezy. Y'all can even find me on LinkedIn, Wayne Breezy. And you know we bring that 49ers content, that bang bang to the Niners, man. You know how we do.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. But as far as all that, man, so let's get on to that topic of the recap of our season, man. Like it's kind of been a roller coaster season to go with, man. Like, what was your
Sure.
thoughts of this season overall?
I mean, it was a slow start, right? I mean, you get that Detroit game and you're saying, oh, man, looking good. We put up 40 points. Crazy ending to that game. Then they hit the road again. They go to Philly. Wasn't as comfortable as a win we thought, but we got the win in Philly. You know what I'm saying? And then week 3 hit, and it just looked like a super slow start. We struggled against Green Bay. And I'm like, and they insert Trey Lance. He comes in the game, gets a touchdown, gives a little joke to the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo leads them on a comeback. And unfortunately, D just couldn't keep Aaron from getting 3 points. You know what I'm saying? And so that's when you realize, we were 2-1 at that point, and then we just kind of started losing after that. And injuries started plaguing us. And so it just seemed like you called it. You said it was a roller coaster season. But I tell you what, it ended bittersweet, right? Because it was a bitter season. We fought all season long. We faced adversity all season long. We beat adversity the majority of the season, and then we lose in the NFC Championship game to a team that we normally beat. So it is a weird ending to the story. But I'm actually looking forward to what's coming for the 49ers in the upcoming season. I'm really excited to see some of the things that we're going to be brewing out there in Santa Clara.
Yeah, the fact that the way we started off, that was a weird start. It was a slow start, but then we started finding our groove late in the season. Second half was pretty much the way we finished out strong. Yeah, usually we always have good success against the Rams, but in this game that matters, they took advantage of it. And the fact that we had to see the Rams get that Super Bowl, it kind of gave me some bitter taste of like, man, why does it have to be against our expense? Like Seattle did it before. Now the Rams are doing it. Like I can't live with that. It's like something that we had to live with since that tip pass from Sherman and the fact that the Rams capitalize on a lot of opportunities, man. We got to live with this. I don't know, man, but how do you feel about the future of our franchise with Trey Lance, man? Hey, Peachy's in the
Um,
building.
what's going on, PG? I mean, even before Trey Lance, I think that I love our head coach. I love our management. I love everything about the organization. I like what they're doing. I like the fact that they interact with the players. I love everything about this organization going forward. And the thing I think I love the most is the fact that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they finally got their guy. Like think about it. They come to the 49ers, they get some people, they inherit a team, they go out and get pieces that they feel that are most comfortable to run the system. They bring in a Brian Hoyer and all those type of players, and it just didn't work. And so when the Jimmy Garoppolo trade presented itself, they jumped on it. They figured Jimmy was a second round pick. He's a cerebral guy. He's learned under Tom Brady. He should be able to run it, and he did. Right? He was good for about 5 or 6 games, and then that season when he became the starter, it was just like he got hurt, and next thing you know, he wasn't the same. And so after that, going forward, they drafted their guy, man. They got Trey Lance. And I just want to say that, I know I don't get the credit, but I've been wanting Trey Lance. Like the moment I knew we were going to be looking for a quarterback, that was the guy. Like that was the guy I had my eye on. Because if you listen to what Kyle Shanahan said that week 13 when they got beat by Buffalo, and Josh Allen did what he did, Trey Lance, in my opinion, was the only quarterback out of those quarterbacks that was Josh Allen like. And so that's what made me really link to Trey Lance. Then I started watching him, and I was just like, oh, this kid could be something dangerous if he gets in the Shanahan offense because we know how creative Shanahan could be. So I'm very excited to see what happens with that. I know a lot of people are saying we got to build the offensive line and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's not a factor. I'm always looking to replenish the old line, but I don't think you got to rebuild it. I think the line is there. I think they drafted some pieces for the Trey era. I think they got Aaron Banks and they got a couple of other pieces, Jalen Moore. These are guys that are supposed to be more agile, more mobile to get out on the block run. And so I think they're going to be just fine when it comes to the offensive line. I think they just need to get them a couple of more weapons on that offense, a couple of more secure weapons. And I think the future is going to be great. Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell. Think about all these rookies, Talanoa Hufanga. These are all people that produced for the 49ers in their rookie campaign. And Trey Lance, my bro, he had 603, 605 yards this year, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he only played started 2 games and probably had a total, 70, maybe 83 snaps total? Come on, man. That kid gonna ball out next year.
Yeah, and speaking of that, it's like that's the thing that most people don't realize. Like, during the offseason, like last year's draft, at first, I was thinking maybe we wanted to invest some more weapons for Jimmy, but nope, we went for a quarterback. And as soon as I heard about the quarterback talks, I was leaning towards like it's got to be a quarterback that can do everything. And I know a lot of these people were buzzing on Justin Fields, bro. And I'm like, I don't know about this guy. And then as soon as I started thinking, I don't think that's the guy. And then people started pointing at me as the Mac Jones fan. I said, no, I don't even know about that one. And I'm like looking at Trey Lance, and I started watching a lot of his film. And I'm like thinking this guy could really fit this offense with his skill set. And the way Shanahan was describing his quarterback, that's the guy he wanted. But according to the media, they said it was Mac Jones. And I'm like, please, no. But when we look into it, I like the fact that we let the kid learn. Jimmy G was just on a year to prove himself and move up the draft values. But when you speak of Jimmy Garoppolo, there's going to be suitors coming into the offseason that's going to want to acquire him. But the question is, like, as far as like his value, what do you think? Which team is looking out there? Like, I heard Washington Commanders are looking to give us a first round. I don't know if that's true or false, but
yeah, I mean, that's the rumor that's going on right now. I mean, there's another rumor about the Eagles apparently wanting to jump in on Jimmy. Who knows what they're going to do with Jalen Hurts? Look, I'm going to say this about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not a bad quarterback. I just don't think he fits this Kyle Shanahan system anymore. I think the system has outgrown the quarterback, and the quarterback didn't grow to continue to progress in the system. So they had to hold back a lot from the 49ers and from the 49ers system in their way of they want to run things. And Jimmy's limitations held this offense back. That I will say that, but I will say he's not a bad quarterback. And so I think he can go to a different situation and be just fine and be good Jimmy and go and light some teams up. Like if he goes to Washington, they got an offense, they got an offensive line, they got a defense, they got everything, and they're gonna want a Jimmy Garoppolo opposed to a young kid because you know why? They want to compete now. They felt like the Dallas Cowboys weren't that much better than them. And think about it. They were running neck and neck with Dallas until Chase Young got hurt. And then Philly crept in the race. You get what I'm saying? And so even Philly, they're saying, hey, what can we do to take us over this hump? Oh, I tell you what, go get me a veteran starting quarterback that's got experience, and then we could probably beat Dallas. Because, all you got to do is win your division and you got a playoff spot. And so those guys are just quarterbacks away. Same as the 49ers, but those guys are quarterbacks away. So I can see Jimmy being a suitor to some NFC East teams. I know from the AFC South, I could see, the South or the North, Pittsburgh. That's another team that I could see him going to. If you go AFC West, the Broncos, you know what I'm saying? Like these are teams that kind of are built. They got positions that are just missing that quarterback. And so Jimmy is going to fulfill that void, but he's a tradable guy. And there may be other tradable guys out there like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, like Jameis Winston. Like if Jimmy don't get traded before Jameis Winston, then the NFL is rigged.
Yeah, it seems like it could be that situation, but I think it's going to be a team that really needs a quarterback like Pittsburgh. What they're going to do after Big Ben? Big Ben is pretty much going to retire. This offense is going to have to, like, who are the Steelers are going to stick with? Mason Rudolph. I don't know about that guy. Dwayne Haskins, are you serious? I don't know if that's going to be the answer. I think Pittsburgh wants to win now. So it's so whatever it takes for Pittsburgh to get Jimmy Garoppolo, I think they're going to take whatever it it takes to get to be where they're at. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his career this season, he was limited on this offense. So he was able to throw in those passes here and there. So I think with Pittsburgh, they won't miss much of a beat if they got Jimmy Garoppolo, if you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah, Pittsburgh looks like a really good fit for Jimmy. They're gonna have Najee Harris. He could dump that ball off to. What a weapon to have. He's got guys that can run underneath routes. Juju Smith-Schuster will be a free agent. I would actually like him in San Francisco, but we'll see how that works if they bring him back. And then they make a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. It's going to be really interesting to see how this offseason works. One thing I think we can all agree with as 49er fans is that Jimmy will be traded or cut. Like, I don't think Jimmy agent is dumb enough to accept, you know, a deal when it comes to like giving him less money. I don't, unless this is where Jimmy really wants to be. Like, I don't see that after having a team draft a player, trading up, all that stuff. You heard Jimmy's farewell speech. He pretty much said it was over. Like, you know what I mean? His time here is done. So I think we move on from Jimmy and we just got to find a trade suitor. But I think they already have the trade suitor. I think we just got to wait till March 15th.
Yeah, we got to wait till then because that's when that's where it's going to happen. We're going to trade him before like the 16th of March, so that's pretty much what's going to happen. But speaking of other players and values, I mean, should we even bother to bring back Jaquaski Tart back? I mean, it's kind of been. I mean, he's been the guy, but it's like injury
Yeah.
issues and whatever happened on that play in the playoffs. I think it is what it is. But what's your thoughts of Jaquaski Tart? Should he even come back?
Man, I like Jaquaski Tart, man, but business wise, I mean, the 49ers gave him an opportunity. He had a chance, though, to sign, seal, and deliver his legacy with the Niners, man. He catches that ball, the 49ers are probably 9 times out of 10 back in the Super Bowl. Like, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, he dropped it. And if I'm a general manager, as much as I like him, it would be time to move on. They've paid him a good amount of money. He's definitely a decent player. I think he'll go. If he went somewhere else, he would be productive. The only thing you're not getting from Tart are the big plays. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the 49ers are lacking big playability in the secondary. I'm not looking for our cornerbacks to make a bunch of interceptions, but why not have some ball hawking safeties back there making these interceptions? Balls are being thrown to them over their head all the damn time. So I feel like you got to move on from Tart because he's going to cost not a lot of money. I don't know what the cap number is or the franchise tag number is for the safeties as of right now. All I know is you can move on from Tart, and there's other safeties out there that you can go get, like right now. Like there's some safeties. You can get Marcus Williams
The
from the
Saints.
Saints. Yeah, like there's some guys that are free that are play making safeties, and so that's the route I would go as you continue to develop Talanoa Hufanga because I think Talanoa Hufanga is going to end up being a hybrid player. You know the role Marcel Harris is? I think Marcel Harris rolls out, he won't be back, and you bring Talanoa Hufanga in. And then I think they'll get Marcel Harris back because nobody's probably going to sign him, and then they'll get him on a cheap deal. So I think that's how they're going to look to roll, man. I think they move on from Tart, bro.
Yeah, and then speaking of what you're saying about the safety market values, I mean, you got a Trout Edmonds who's younger and could probably not be as much than Twart, and you can get him for a very reasonable contract. I don't know about Justin Reeds. I don't think he'll want to come over here with what happened with his brother, but who knows? Maybe he
Yeah.
could be in play. But when you look at the market of the safeties, it's definitely going to be intriguing. But I think letting Hufanga be the starter would probably be the best way to go. But he just needs to work on better coverage. But I like
Yeah.
his ability, his tackling ability, everything he does. It's awesome. But I feel like if we're not really fully sold on him as a starter, then I think that's the route I would go to is either get somebody like a Terrell Edmonds, who's not too bad. You know, he's been consistent for Pittsburgh, but not the ball hawking guy that people talk about. You know, he's kind of like another Tart, if not better.
Yeah. I like him. I like him a lot actually. I just don't know if he'll fit. Like it's gotta be a good fit. I feel like Hufanga can do that. We need a guy that's going to be really good in coverage. I think that's where Hufanga struggles right now because he's still young, still learning angles, still learning all that stuff. He's a great reactor to the ball, especially in the run game. He's there to break up passes. But again, we need those playmakers, man. We need a guy out there that just sits and watches, wait for the quarterback to make a mistake and reacts, is able to get that ball. If the 49ers can develop more turnovers, especially to a young kid like Trey Lance, man, sky is the limit for this team going into 2022.
Yeah, and it's not going to be easy to find those ball hawkers. I mean, the one I can think of is a familiar face, but just happens to be the brother of the familiar face. That guy can get the
Okay.
ball, and he's better in coverage. But I don't know if he'd be willing to come over here. So, if we can convince this kid to come over here, then I think that would solve the issue right there. But
Yeah.
but speaking of another free agent value, man, there's this ascending, man. This player is ascending. He's coming in as he's really kind of moving up the charts. Second half of the season, Arden Key, bro, this guy's been unbelievable at this point. Like he went as a guy who was a draft bust for the Raiders, then comes over here, makes some noise in the second half of the season, and finishes it with 6.5 sacks. This guy has been ascending. He's been getting better. And what's your thoughts of Arden Key? You think there's a good chance we might bring him back, or you think he might just price himself out?
He didn't produce enough to price himself out, in my opinion. He didn't get double-digit sacks, right? So I'm not worried about him pricing himself out. I think it's going to come down to, will the 49ers make him a fair enough offer for what they're asking? Now, if Arden Key returns, you got to look at how they're going to utilize him. He'll probably be a third down specialist, right? He won't be necessarily used like how we used him this year because we're looking to get other guys. I think they draft the edge. I just hate to say it. I think that's where they go. They go edge in the second round, honestly, because you want to get a guy that can come in and replace D Ford with the speed and the power at the same time. If you can get somebody, not as great as a Nick Bosa, but better than what we already have coming out of the draft, I think you go that route. There are guys that you can look for in free agency, like JPP. I see some people want JPP. I don't know if he fits, or I just don't think I don't know. But there are guys. Von Miller's going to be a free agent. Hey, you want to secure defensive line? You want a wrecking ball? I tell you what, go sign Von Miller, give him whatever $1 million he wants, have him on one end, have Nick Bosa on the other end, and watch the 49ers. You don't need a secondary. Right? I can tell you that right now. You can put anybody back there because that pass rush is going to be unstoppable. And that's the way I want. I want this pass rush to be unstoppable. Love Arden Key. Would love to re-sign him. I just think that he's not going to get a deal that a lot of people are thinking because his numbers weren't, Kosaric was able to get stuff out of him, but his numbers weren't double digits. Had his numbers been Kerry Hyder numbers, though, maybe, because he's way younger than Kerry Hyder. Maybe he would have priced himself out, just like Kerry Hyder priced himself out.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it's possible. Maybe that's what he's thinking. Maybe he just thinks that maybe he's ascending and maybe he's going to get his payday elsewhere. But if San Francisco can match him a good offer, I think it's going to be too hard for him to pass up on an opportunity. He likes the culture. It's a positive culture. They're using him the right way. It's nothing negative. So it's like, I think he loves being here. If anything else, it just
Oh,
depends on
yeah.
the money.
Absolutely. It's going to come down to dollars, dollars and cents. And you don't want to shortchange him, but you can't overpay him either.
Yep, that's pretty much it. But speaking of these QB rumors, man, I guess Snyder by Nature is putting it out there on the buzz from what he's hearing. I hear Russell Wilson might become a commander that gets Wilson out of our division. That's just rumors, in my opinion. What do you think?
And it's a rumor. Look, Washington is looking for a quarterback because I said earlier on the show, they are looking to win now. And so I'm dying to know what Russell Wilson is going to cost because the rumor has it that they're willing to give up a first round pick for Jimmy. So they must be willing to give up 2 first round picks for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's pretty much because he's viable, dude. He's won Super Bowl. He's carried this franchise behind his back with a terrible offensive line and a defense that's gotten worse throughout the years. I mean, who would want this guy? This guy, he's exactly what you want to build your team around, just like Aaron Rodgers had with Green Bay. I mean, there's not many quarterbacks who can carry your team, so it's like I don't like. It's too hard to pass, but Seattle, what's the next plan after Russell Wilson? It's pretty much going to be rebuild mode if they have to go from scratch.
I mean, I would love for them to have to go from scratch. I would love for Seattle
Yeah,
to just be scratched the hell out of our vicinity, and then we just got to focus on. You know what's funny? The Rams, as good as they were this year, they don't bother me. It's the freaking Cardinals that I feel like are going to be a thorn in thy ass. Like I feel like as long as Kyler Murray is there, as long as I don't under, it doesn't even matter Kyler Murray. We got beat by Colt McCoy this year. I can't figure out what is it about the Cardinals that we struggle with, but they're the team that I would look out for in the NFC West.
yeah, they definitely are because of Kyler Murray. But then, like you said, Colt McCoy, he was looking like Aaron Rodgers out there that day. And then, speaking of the way he's played, I mean, it's always important to have backups. But Cliff Kingsbury, you never know what you're going to expect out of him. So it's like his play calling can be brilliant, but at times it can be like very suspect, and that's why Murray is playing what he is. And yeah,
Good
so
point.
yeah, we were discussing about that, David. But yeah, Eagles could be in the mix also with the situation with Jalen Hurts. I don't know why. You gotta still give the kid a chance, but I guess they just want to win now, so I don't blame them.
That's it. That's what it is, bro. They're a lot of these teams because you got to look at what you got to do is you got to look at like their divisions and what they see. Some teams might feel like Dallas, or we're just a quarterback away. We get the right quarterback. We got the pieces. They got weapons. Don't the Eagles got Jalen Waddle? That kid was, or not Waddle, Devontae Smith. They got Devontae Smith. That kid was a beast in his rookie season. So they got some weapons, man. So does Washington, McLaurin, and all those guys over there. So I can see them just trying to snatch up a nice little vet QB, a guy that can come in, manage the game, get them into positions to win games, and call it a day. Now, if I had to pick between Russell Wilson and Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm going with Russell Wilson. But you're also going to have to give up more for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give up a lot, like a farm for this guy. I mean, I just don't see Seattle doing that because it's like who they got in place. It would have to be so much to an offer to where they cannot refuse to pass on it. Like if you're going to give them multiple first round picks and maybe a couple of extra picks in that deal, then I think Seattle's going to take it instantly. But at this point, like we all love to see is Seattle fall apart and become the laughing stock of that franchise. That would be great for us Niner fans to see this team be the bottom feeder. But in reality, I just don't think they're willing to do this. I think they're just going to stick with him and hold him back, and then it's going to come down to it. But when you look at Jimmy Garoppolo's value, I know a lot of people are thinking, well, he barely did anything in the playoffs. He did his part. That's all that matters. If he can get you to the playoffs and do his part, then I think that's what matters. But when you look at Jimmy G's value, a lot of it's kind of questionable. Like, do you give up a second round pick or a third, or is it got lower? Like, what do you think of his value currently if we were to trade him?
I think his value is high on some teams and low on others, right? And so I think Jimmy has proved that he's probably worth a first round pick. But see, that comes down to what the team needs. Like, and so you could kind of pimp his value. Like to us, he's not worth the first round pick, right? But to other teams, depending on their situations, bro, he's worth that. Like, look, my team put up this, and this, and all we need is a quarterback that has playoff experience, that's been to a Super Bowl, has done these things to come in and do this and do that. And let's keep it a buck. Jimmy didn't really want to be in Santa Clara. Let's keep it a buck. The moment they traded for Trey Lance, Jimmy ass mentally checked out. He wanted to be gone. But he was a professional. He stuck his course. He stayed his course, did what he had to do. Jimmy was so good to a point to where he played injured. And Jimmy ain't never played injured. When have we ever seen Jimmy Garoppolo play injured, bro? Ever.
Not once. Not once.
Not once. Jimmy came out for an eyelash at one point. This dude was playing with a torn ligament in his thumb. He knew his time was up. He was proving to the world, Craig, that he's a tough SOB. Jimmy gone, he going to go to a team, and the team's going to be willing to pay, especially a team that's ready to win now.
Yeah, and any other team that's willing to make that move, it's going to cost them a little. I think for a team that wants to give them for a first round pick, then that's a robbery. I mean, if the Washington Commanders are that, I don't want to sound harsh, but if they are dumb enough to do that, give us a first round pick and we take their 11 pick. What's the best idea? Like, let's say we do make that trade and it becomes one of the most topic offseason trades that we get a first round pick from the Washington Commanders. What would you do with that 11 pick if we had to get that choice?
I mean, I know a lot of people want a cornerback, but I think our biggest need, in my opinion, is a safety. And so I'm grabbing the best damn safety in the draft. I'm moving on from Tart, and I'm going to go get us a guy that can grow with this team for the next 5 years, but that's going to already come in with playmaking skills. So you don't got to develop safeties, bro. If you get the right safety, and don't get it twisted, Tart was a second-round pick, but out of Samford, right? You get the right safety on this defense, man, listen. Like they don't have to develop like corners because they're more read and react type positions, right? They go out, they read the coverage, they look at the quarterback's eyes, they try not to get beat and bite on the run, and then when they do, they come and make the tackle. That kid from what is it, Notre Dame? I think that's everybody's talking about. Man, they better go look at Hamilton and get one of them safeties, man. That's what I would do with the 11th pick. Me personally.
Well, it's not a bad choice. Kyle Hamilton's a big, tall safety. He's pretty physical. I like that guy too. But speaking of another safety, why not just wait until maybe in the third round? Maybe you get this kid from Auburn. Smoke Monday, man. We'd be smoking a session on a Monday. But if I had to go to that spot, like you said, it might not be much of a need, but man, wouldn't it just be nice to get this kid from LSU, Derek Stingley, bro? Just to solidify that secondary, even though pass rushers makes the difference, but you always want to get a shutdown corner. You want to get somebody who can keep that one side and make it easy for the pass rushers to get to that quarterback. If you just get that truth.
I'm scared to draft cornerbacks, bro, because they either going to be a hit or miss. I've seen some great corners go to teams and then they're not even like talked about in the league anymore. Now, I think Jalen Ramsey is probably like the last cornerback that was drafted high that was like that dude. It would literally have to be that type of a caliber of a player for me to draft a corner in the first round. You know what I'm saying? Especially early in the first round. Later in the first round is cool. But early in the first round, it's got to be that. And so, remember Jeffrey Okudah from Ohio State? He was the best cornerback coming out of the league that year. And he goes to Detroit and he just can't get right. And maybe it's Detroit, but he's supposed to be good enough to make the adjustment. And so I'm nervous when drafting corners. I feel more safe and secure getting a safety. No pun intended. I feel like you can develop corners because look at Ambry Thomas at the beginning of the season and look at him now. Now, I'm not saying he's great and he's a lockdown or he's a shutdown corner. I'm just saying he developed. And so I think you can get that corner in the third round. I think, and you still got Mosley. You got Thomas that's still growing. You're going to bring in some competition. But, hey, look, if that kid from LSU you're talking about is that guy that I mentioned from like a Jalen Ramsey type of guy, if he's that guy and he's there at 11, then you don't pass up on him because there's a cornerback I think out of Oregon that we could get to in the third. Hopefully he's available in the third round. So there's some players, huh?
Oh, yeah, but you're talking about that one Oregon corner, Michael something, right?
Yeah, man. Look, there's some people, man. I'm telling you out there that we can wrap our eyes around. But again, who does John and Kyle usually draft in the second round? Wide receivers.
Or right? Pass rushers.
And so, right. And so, or pass rush. And so, maybe they still follow that trajectory, man. I have no idea, bro. But look, I'm so looking forward to everything that's about to go down for these 49ers. I think the future is super bright, bro. I got to run and go get my little son, man. He's probably waiting for me at daycare. That's where you saw me driving. But I definitely appreciate the opportunity for rocking out with you. And I got to get you on nitty gritty real soon.
All right, appreciate it, bro. Like, as always, man, you're always welcome on the show. But, man, I'm hoping that you can get back with some football players, man. I gave you some of the better pointers how you can get them, man.
Yes, you did, bro. I'm definitely gonna reach out, and I appreciate that.
No problem, bro. Anytime. As always, bro, go
All right,
Niners.
bro. Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace. All right. That was WayneBreezie on the show, guys. He's got to go, but hey, it was great to have him on the show. But I appreciate every one of you guys on the chat. As always, CG Ruthless Sports is out, and you already know. Go Niners.